Most of us spend a lot of energy making sure life looks good. We manage impressions better than we manage ourselves.
And eventually something pays for that. Time, presence, honesty, or the people closest to you.
Today's about the polished lie, why reputation feels safe, and why it quietly costs character.
Welcome to the Jason Hewlett Show, my friends. It is awesome to see you, and we're going to have an incredible day. Welcome to the Jason Hewlett Show. Welcome to the show. We're listening to 2016 music. We're talking faith, family, fatherhood, freedom, fitness, funny, and farce. Breaking news, developing story. You won't believe this. Holy smokes, what are we talking about? Leadership starts at the kitchen table. I'm on a call right now. Do not talk to me.
Daddy hates me. Daddy doesn't like us.
Your kids don't need a ghost. They need a father. Starving for presence. Pick your times, have a conversation, trust me. I believe that be fully present with these most important people. And that's a promise kept to yourself and your family. I'm so glad when daddy comes home, glad as I can be. The only way I can make the world a better place is to volunteer. This show is brought to you by Cardio Miracle. Hey. Yes, welcome to the Jason Hewlett Show. I love that song. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today, as well as so many other things. And there are a lot of F words here, by the way. Faith, freedom, family, that kind of F. Fitness. Today's show, we're discussing why being your kid's BFF is the wrong way to parent and how to utilize AI in an entertaining way in your business. The Winter Olympics are here. We're going to talk about that. Do you have the heart of a champion? And the Washington Post layoffs. Yeah, lots going on in the news. We're going to talk personal brand versus personal peace. Are you the same off stage as you are on stage? This is the promise of character and integrity. And a good news story out of Australia. As Anne Murray sang, how about a little good news today? So I welcome you to the show. Thank you for being here. You know, some people have been asking and wondering, why am I doing a show in this format? Because they're only used to seeing me on stage in front of a lot of people. Well, I'm doing this because there's so little of family, faith, fitness, natural health, and foundational beliefs out in the world for anyone to enjoy watching or listening. So if you're watching from far away or close to me, I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah, please put it in the comments. I know that we're streaming for sure onto YouTube, and I have a small YouTube following right now, but it's fun to watch the traction gaining. If you're watching after this has been recorded, because this is live, we go live every Thursday at 3 p.m. That is the promise. And so please put it in there where you're watching from. And if you want to join in the conversation, please do. I just want to share good news, right? There's so few things that we see like that if we're scrolling on our Instagram or on our Facebook and TikTok and endlessly scrolling all day. But here's a story out of Australia of a young man keeping the ultimate promise to his family. Maybe you saw this. His name is Austin Appleby. And his family's boat, let's see if I can pull up a picture of Austin Appleby. Oh, there he is. So he's the one on the far right there, and there's his little siblings and his mom. So they were out on a boat in the ocean, and all of a sudden problems happened. The thing started sinking. So he threw on a life jacket, he jumped in a kayak, and he said, I can I can paddle the 4 kilometers back to save my family because everything was going bad. Now, that's when the story changed from just a kid, being a great young man and going back for his family to then a real historic and heroic story. What I think is we ought to do, I found this video online. Let's let Austin tell you what happened.
Yeah, I just said, all right, not today. I had to keep on going. I knew it would be a long way because it was like 4 kilometers. But the kite kept on taking in water. I was fighting rough seas. I started swimming with just my life jacket. And then after a while I found out that didn't work. I had to untie the life jacket and I had to just swim. I had the life jacket and the kayak for 2 hours, and then for the next 2 hours I was just swimming. I think at one point I was thinking of Thomas the Tank Engine. you know, trying to get the happiest things in my head and trying to make it through. Finally, I just made it to shore, and I hit the bottom of the beach, and I just collapsed. And then after that, I had to sprint 2 kilometers to go get to the phone. I said, I need helicopters, I need planes, I need boats. My family's out of sea. Yeah.
Okay. My new hero, Austin Appleby. Standing ovation. Isn't that incredible? Maybe the music was a little loud in there. I just saw that on Instagram this morning, but it blew me away so much to think that a kid would jump overboard, 13 years old, say, I can make it. And then all of a sudden his kayak starts to have a problem. So he starts swimming, realizes his life jacket's in the way, takes it off, keeps swimming. 4 kilometers. Come on. That's crazy. That's the promise. And as we raise children in this generation, in this life at this time, there's nothing more important than figuring out how we can be the best types of parents to have kids that would do something like that. Because once he collapsed on the beach, once he hit it, he said he had to then jump up and run another 2 kilometers to go get help. Saved his family. It's a miracle story. I love stories like that. It's good news, heroics, amazing things to share it. You know, in case you can't find it, that's what we're doing here. So while I do a show like this, I find it humorous how many people have been asking me and even wanting me not to do anything different than what they're used to me doing. It always makes me laugh how everyone wants me to keep it, or keep all of us in our own box of what they feel we should be whenever we step into something new. And recently I was at a luncheon, and a longtime friend sitting across the table from me asked why I have stopped performing, speaking, and entertaining, as they have seen me talking about a health supplement online. So I must only be working on Cardio Miracle. Now, Cardio Miracle is a great thing for me to be able to utilize, and I share about it. It sponsors this show. But here's what I find so fascinating. It made me laugh. This person cannot compute that I can do more than one thing at one time. And here's what's funny. That person runs 4 different businesses at the same time. So can we do multiple things in a career? I mean, can we keep the promise that originally drew our audience to us? If we graduate and do something a little different than we've always done it, is it okay to reach and grow and stretch? I mean, yeah, I run multiple businesses. I'm on stage, and I would love more keynotes and opportunities if that was possible. As they come, I'll take them. And equally, I do help run a health supplement company called Cardio Miracle. And they help support this show, and I'm grateful for it. And if you support them, I appreciate it greatly, because it's a family legacy business founded by my father, John Hewlett. It'll help you with your health. We'll talk about that more in the show. But the sentiment that we should just do what we've always done reminds me of the challenge faced by a Hollywood star. It reminds me of Jim Carrey. Yeah, that guy. Jim Carrey, the great comedy guy, right? Remember when he began his career? Oh, he was over the top. We loved him. He was the biggest Hollywood star for a pretty good chunk of time in my youth. So it was like, hey, everybody, who is her? Right? I love Jim Carrey. Genius. And then what did he decide to do after Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber? He had all these hits in a row of him being silly. And then he decided to do The Majestic. Yeah, you may not even know what that is. And the world lost its collective mind. Jim Carrey in a movie without being himself as a silly, bizarre person as only we know him? We can't have this, blasphemy. And he went on to do so much more, this guy. And he loved doing it. He loved doing other things that weren't just comedy because it stretched him. It made him try harder and reach further. The Truman Show, remember that one? That speaks to today, doesn't it? Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Ooh, I think he should have won an Oscar for that. And occasionally he'd throw down a liar, liar and be like, the pen is blue, right? That's what he did. And just to remind you, he's still here, and you thought who he was. But then he does Man on the Moon, the Andy Kaufman story. Yeah, I think he should have won an Oscar absolutely for that. I believe he was steamrolled by the critics because they were like, hey, this isn't the Jim Carrey we've put in a box. And I feel for Jim Carrey in that sense because dramatically, he's one of the greatest actors we've ever seen. He's a genius who has embraced the spectrum of all the talents that he has and put it onto the movies for us to be able to enjoy. And so I feel for anyone who's putting themselves out there to do and try something of significance that is different from what made them successful or famous or otherwise relevant, and how quickly we try to snuff out their light. You know, a few have made this jump. Robin Williams did. Tom Hanks did. They both started their career as funny guys, turned into great dramatic actors, and the world accepted it. What gifts to us they have been. And so why am I doing a show like this online, talking about current events, issues, foundational challenges that we must consider and return to in faith, freedom, and family? Well, I do it because I don't see anyone else doing it without being beholden to their sponsors, their narrative, their party, their chosen side. I have no side. I'm totally free. I've been canceled by both the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans. I don't play into the narrative well enough. I see the point often on both sides. I can't help but do my best to unite and love everyone. And I'm cheering on what I feel is truth. That's what I'm in search of. I'm a free man. I can speak my mind, share these thoughts, speak to no one or everyone who may be watching out there. How liberating, how wonderful. Yeah, you found me. And maybe this is the place for you to be inspired, moved, entertained, and then open your mouth too. I hope you're watching me do this and it moves you to do you. Do something that scares you a little, because this scares me too. That's why I'm doing it. And I feel it's that important to step into the void of fear of unknown. Always seeking truth. I'm doing this show because there is little of family, faith, and foundational beliefs out there for anyone to enjoy watching or listening to. So the real question is, how are you like Jim Carrey?
You ever notice how people react when someone they know changes direction?
Nobody says much. They just watch closer.
They ask polite questions, but the curiosity underneath feels heavier than the words coming out.
That tension usually comes from expectation.
People get attached to the version of you they already understand.
When you grow past it, they feel unsettled because the box they built doesn't fit anymore.
And staying in that box feels easier than we admit.
Jason, when people see this show, they don't ask about the message first.
They ask about the move
Why this show exists.
and why it feels different than what they expected from you.
Let's talk about it.
Yes, it's February 5th. The glitter from New Year's Eve is gone, and for most of us, the new me performance is starting to feel exhausting. Well, we live in a world that's obsessed with performance, and we have been told that if we don't document the win, it didn't happen. Without a selfie, hey, it didn't happen. If you don't share it on Instagram and FB, Facebook, then it isn't real. Reminds me of when I worked out without my watch on accident because I forgot I put it back on the charger. And I hated that. I feel like it was a wasted workout, even if I did my best, because it didn't track or record what I had done in the workout. So who am I doing the workout for? My watch? Just for the record of it? I mean, I still got the benefits of the workout, but who am I doing the social media post for? If we don't look the part, we aren't the part. We're spending our mornings curating an image for people who we don't even know in real life or don't even like, and our evenings wondering why we feel so hollow inside. You know, the more I scroll on social media, the more I realize why I take it off my phone. I delete it and put it away, and then I have to reload it when I want to post something. It's a pain. It's a promise to be fully present. I made this promise years ago. It's changed my life. But how much better my life is when I do this. Here's the truth in 2026. It's that applause are cheap, and it's a cheap substitute for alignment. Trust me, I've lived for the applause for a long time, and it's intoxicating. It's wonderful. It's validating. It has even driven me to do and say things I would never say. I've had to make many choices not to appeal to the audience more and more throughout my time on stage and career. So why? Because the audience can acknowledge, it can approve, but that doesn't mean it's right or for the best. The music producer Rick Rubin says, don't write the song for the audience, write it for yourself. The audience will appear when you don't write it for them. I mean, that blew my mind when I heard him say that. Do you know what is right? And what you know is right? Character comes first. Performance is born from your integrity. And I like to say, your integrity is your harmony. Yeah, I came up with that line in my book, The Promise to the One. There are plenty of these left on Amazon, by the way. All right. When you prioritize your performance over your character, you're building a skyscraper on a swamp. I mean, it looks magnificent to the neighbors, but eventually the ground shifts. And my friend, the ground is shifting. You can feel it, can't you? In fact, here in Utah today, my son said, "Did you feel the earthquake?" And I was like, there was an earthquake. I didn't feel it, but he did. So maybe you're not feeling it yet. And we're in the same house. I don't think we've ever lived in a time when the foundation of our society, beliefs and ideals have been so challenged, the ground moving below us. And character is what you do when the camera is off. The mic is muted, and there isn't a single like to be gained. So today we're taking the mask off. We're going to talk about the difference between being impressive and being integral. Because at the end of the day, your family doesn't need a highlight reel or your best post or even a performance of your best impression of yourself on your best day. We all fall to the level of our habits. Your family, they need you. So let's talk about the cost of high maintenance and how much energy does it take to maintain an image versus the effortless nature of living your truth. I'm telling you, I work so hard on what I post, and sometimes I'm like, I am talking myself out of posting something significant. Is it that I'm that nervous about what someone will say? Am I that worried about what other people think? How about the social media shadow? How the pressure to post the progress actually distracts us from making actual progress. Oh yeah, I do my muscle flex as kind of like a parody or a farce, because some of what I want to bring you is farce, you know. Like I've seen people that just post all the time their posts of their body. Awesome, I'm glad you're doing it, but don't let it get in the way of the reason you're doing it. You're probably working out to, hopefully at least, to stick around a long time for family. But often we get caught in the image. How about the audience of one? Shifting your focus from what will they think or can I look myself in the eye tonight? I know sometimes I say things where I'm like, why did I do that? That was so stupid of me. And yet I'm worried about what the audience cares about with me. I was looking at the comments the other day, and that's maybe the worst phrase you can ever say, right? I was looking at the comments, and that's a bad idea. It just makes you feel worse about yourself, even if most of them are good, because there's the one that always sticks out. And if there was a whiteboard right now and I took a marker and put a black dot right in the middle and I said, hey, what do you see? You wouldn't see the whiteboard. You'd say, a black dot. That's how we think. Let's talk about short-term wins versus long-term legacy. Why performance gets you the promotion, but character gets you the respect. I truly believe that it comes down to character to create the best performance, but so often we're performing with the lack of character just to put on the show. And I can speak to that because I've done that before, doing all I can to not. How about the quiet success? Celebrating the small, unrecorded moments of integrity, like keeping a promise to your child when you're tired. That's a good one. And trying to let them know that you love them and appreciate them and see them as great. The pivot from image to impact, of how to shift your focus to serving others, and that naturally removes the need to impress them. I'm so thankful for all the times that I've been able to stop thinking about how I appear and serve instead. You know, the best speakers and performers actually are the best when they forget what the audience is thinking and they just do themselves. That's the brilliance. That's keeping the promise. That's your signature moves. And if your social media or your job, your bank account were deleted today, what would be left of your identity? I mean, are you more concerned with how your life looks to others or how it feels to you? What's one promise to yourself that you've broken lately because you were too busy performing for someone else? I'm grateful for the opportunity to do this show because it makes me keep a promise to myself to deliver something for you. And I had to work a lot just to get ready for today. You didn't see all the work put in. I mean, maybe you're noticing it here, but hopefully it doesn't look like I put in work. It's just natural. Well, the question is, who are you when you know for a fact that no one is watching?
It's funny how much effort goes into making life look smooth.
The posts look good. The calendar looks full.
From the outside, everything feels handled and under control.
What people don't see is the upkeep. Keeping things polished takes work.
You're managing impressions, adjusting stories, and holding everything together so nobody notices the cracks.
And while you're busy keeping it all looking right, other things start drifting.
Conversations get shorter, promises get softer.
And you tell yourself you'll deal with it later.
Energy spent protecting how life looks usually comes at a cost.
Jason, when looking good starts costing peace at home, clarity at work, and honesty with yourself, how do you know what you're really protecting?
Thank you very much to Doug and Phil. Those are AI-generated characters, if you can't tell, and we're doing an integration within this show of making things as interesting and fun. Those are characters we created just out of our thoughts of somebody we wanted to see introducing different pieces and sets within this presentation and this live stream and broadcast. So wherever you're seeing this from, please put in the comments. If you have any questions, please put them in there. If I can get to them, I will. But if you're watching this as a replay, thank you for taking the time to be here. Let's talk about some news that's happening right now. Yesterday, the headlines at the Washington Post weren't written by the staff. They were about them. Dang. Hundreds of world-class journalists, editors, and creators. Well, some people might argue about world-class. We'll talk about that in a second. But they were people who believed they were standing on the most solid ground in the industry. They received an email telling them the ground had moved. Just like I said a minute ago, there's an earthquake here today. You never know what's going to happen. And I'll be very honest about the Washington Post. I'm not a huge fan of the Post, and there's a reason for that. I mean, I look at all the news. I look at CNN, I look at Fox, I look at all of it, right? Trump uses the term fake news, right? But I never knew why he did that until the Washington Post posted about me. So let me tell you that story real quick, and then we'll talk about what happened with the layoffs and so forth, and how it matters to you. In 2024, during the election cycle, I did a presentation. I did an opening act in the stadiums around the country for Tucker Carlson. Yeah, it was a controversial thing. People were very mad at me. In fact, I lost all of my work for 2025 as a corporate speaker and entertainer. I had to just scrape my way back because people were so upset I did this. I eventually opened for Donald Trump in October of 2024. He was reelected then a week later. Now, having done all this, I was doing all kinds of interesting shows, right? All around the country in different stadiums, and I didn't know who was in the audience. But here's a post of what somebody said about me. Are you ready? I wonder if I should. Let me read this to you because this is crazy. I got to make the screen bigger so I can see it. So this is from a guy, I don't know who it was, in the Washington Post. As you can see, that I screenshotted this. It says Rob Schneider was the first. Yeah, Rob Schneider from Saturday Night Live was the original act of all the Tucker shows, and then he got sick, and they saw me, and they had me come instead, which is awesome. It said in Hershey, Pennsylvania, this was a big show. The opening act was Jason Hewlett, who has described himself as a clean, hilarious, safe, and affordable answer for corporations looking to book an entertainer for their next convention. Hewlett mixed Velociraptor impressions with biblical references. I don't remember that. And got desperate when the crowd didn't go for his impression of Led Zeppelin singer Robert Plant. Come on, Hewlett said. That's funny. That's essentially my line after every impression because it's what I do. However, I do believe I got a standing ovation for it, so that was interesting. His adept impression of Marge Simpson singing Sweet Child of Mine went over better. Well, at least they said some nice things, but that was the Washington Post. I also had the Rolling Stone post about me. It wasn't very nice. It said, somebody said, my seat in the penalty box for the Hershey Bears, the arena's regular tenant. This seems right because the night is akin to serving an endless major misconduct penalty. This is somebody at the Tucker Carlson show. Guess who the guest was? If I remember, it was J.D. Vance. So the whole Secret Service was there frisking everybody. The speakers on the jumbo screen endlessly about the benefits of Cardio Miracle. Yeah, buddy, that's what I'm talking about. A supplement powered by nitric oxide, a short-lived gas produced in the walls of arteries and veins. They got that right. Now, what does the Rolling Stone say? The veracity of the product is unknown, but what gives me pause is the fact that it featured Jason Whitlock, our fellow right-wing stirrer, who recently broadcast eating a lunch meal featuring both McDonald's and Wendy's. The crowd goes restless as the start time is pushed back by more than an hour. That happened because there was a giant rainstorm. A sweaty comedian, that's me. They didn't say my name. A sweaty comedian. Hey, everybody, I'm that guy. A sweaty comedian comes out and tries to entertain the crowd with the voice of Marge Simpson singing Guns N' Roses. You probably haven't seen this bit, but I go, she got a smile when it seems to me. Oh, sweet child of mine. Yeah, so that's the bit. Oh, now and then when I see her face, it takes me away to that special place. Sounds like Marge Simpson, so does Axl Rose. The response is tepid. I don't know about that. They're on their feet. Despite the guy playing on our sympathies by mentioning his 4 kids. Cornered, the dude pulls an ace from the bottom of the deck. He leads the faithful in a karaoke version of Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA. 1,000 phone flashlights take the place of lighters. Okay, but the Washington Post one, they were all just kind of slamming me, and that's okay. It's called fake news. I knew it really happened. I have video of it. Standing ovation, people loving it. I got more gigs from that. And then eventually I was fully canceled by the left and eventually canceled by the right because I also sing Elton John and Lady Gaga music. That's another story for another time. But now let's talk about Washington Post layoffs. Some of them are gone. And in this layoff, apparently a third of them are gone. I mean, I wish them well, even if they didn't like me. But we see these headlines and we think, God, I'm glad it's not me. But if you're between 30 and 55, you know the underlying shiver that news sends down your spine because we were raised on a specific promise. If you're the best, if you work for the Titans, if you give your life to the institution will protect you. That is the paper shield. The Washington Post didn't just cut jobs, they broke a narrative. They proved that a corporate promise is a business variable, not a blood covenant. And you know, it's rare for any kind of company to feel like you have that level of commitment from them anymore. Even if you give your life to them. I mean, I'm doing an event later this evening where they're going to be doing awards for people that have been there for many years. It's interesting to watch those awards. Sometimes they'll be there for 40 years and they'll give them here's your cup. It's like, I did this for 40 years for a cup. Cheers. But that's not why we do the work. But here's the hard truth we have to face today. You cannot outsource your security to an entity that doesn't know your children's names. When the power of the promise is broken by your employer, it's a crisis. But when it's broken by you because you stopped investing in your own growth or your family because you were too busy serving a logo, oh, that's a tragedy. So today we're talking about how we can keep the promise. And when one door closes, the only thing you take with you is your reputation. And so the most stable publication in the world is the legacy you write within the 4 walls of your own home. When was the last time you audited the promises you've made to your spouse or children? Are those more or less stable than your current employment? As you think about that, and as I think about how stable this is that I'm creating for me and what you've created for you, think about it this way. What is your promise when the layoff comes for you?
When a headline like this drops, most people skim it and keep moving.
Layoffs sound distant until you imagine your name in that email.
Jobs like that aren't just paychecks. They represent loyalty, years invested, and a belief that the right institution keeps you safe.
That belief sneaks up on you. Do good work, stay committed, and you start assuming stability is part of the deal.
Jason, when a company breaks a promise people built their lives around, what does that reveal about where real security actually comes from?
I've been thinking about this a lot, especially as someone who wants to be a dad. Everywhere I look, it seems like the goal is being the fun one.
That goal sounds harmless at first. Being liked feels good, keeps things calm, and avoids conflict. But it quietly trades leadership for approval.
That's the part that messes with me. I don't want to confuse closeness with avoiding the hard moments that actually shape who kids become.
Kids don't need another friend competing for attention.
They need someone willing to hold boundaries, even when it costs comfort in the room.
Jason, when you first became a father, what did you believe the real goal was supposed to be?
Good question. I actually used to think one of the ultimate goals of fatherhood was to be the cool dad. How about you? I mean, do you have kids? Have you ever wanted to be the cool dad? The one guy who says yes to the extra hour of screens, the guy who avoids conflict to keep the peace, or the guy who wants to be his kid's best friend. I have seen other dads who've done this, and their kids seem to worship them. They idolize their father. And I did my best to do similar things. I remember watching these dads, and I was like, wow, I'm so strict with my kids. And even when they were little, I was like, quiet, 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 it's church, quiet, quiet, quiet. And they're like, I'm like, quiet, 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 quiet. But then there were dads that just let the kids run amok. And they're like best friends. And I'm like, I wish I was best friends with my kid. And I admit there's a time where I let so much slide. Like, I remember that when the kids had like a flip phone essentially, and then moving to an iPhone, that was a huge one because we had like almost fake phones that they were carrying around. They were embarrassed because they didn't have, I need an iPhone like my friends. And it's like, what age? When are they ready for that? Social media accounts for your kids. Yo, that's a big decision. How about screen time limits and monitoring their activities on their phones? We just, as a family, we started to let it slide. I mean, it feels good in the moment, it gets you the hugs and the laugh and the high five, even the style points with your kids' friends. But for years now, I've realized something terrifying. I mean, when I act like my kid's friend, I leave the seat of the leader empty. And in 2026, our kids are drowning in a sea of influencers, algorithms, and peers telling them who to be. They don't need another buddy to scroll with. They need a boundary. They need a father who's willing to be the bad guy today so they can be a good human tomorrow, right? I mean, being a friend is about being liked. Being a father is about being a promise keeper. But I will give you this one. Once in a blue moon, a true friend keeps you accountable. So I'm not discounting that, but this is different. As a parent, it's more important than being their pal. It's embracing the role of the leader. I stepped down from the attempt at being the BFF role, and I've stepped firmly into the role of the shepherd. I mean, it's lonelier at first, but it's where the real legacy lives. So let's talk about the safety of the fence. The safety of the fence is why kids actually feel more anxious in a home without clear authority. Here's an example of my youngest son. This is Royal. He's the little guy on the far left there. He's now 14. So this picture was just taken a few months ago, but he's even grown since then. It's crazy. We have these 4 beautiful kids. We had 4 and 5 years. But Royal, my little guy, he's been having some weird issue lately. He can't get up for school. Does anybody else have a kid that can't get up for school? I don't know what's happening to this child. Well, I'm not throwing him under the bus here. This is a problem for every kid. Every one of these kids had a challenge learning how to get up for school. Okay, so it's not just the little guy, Royal. He's now almost as tall as me. He's like growing like a weed all of a sudden. But his inability to get up for school every day, it was weird. And my wife and I would get up every day and help him get out the door, but it's a fight every morning. And we realized he had his phone in his room. And that was never allowed when the kids were little. Like, we just eventually forgot to tell them to put it in the charging station in the kitchen. His excuse was this: I need it to wake me up in the morning as my alarm. So we bought him an alarm clock. Suddenly that doesn't work, even though it worked for me as a kid. We bought a very similar one on Amazon. And after enough tardies, I finally laid down the law recently, to the anger and disappointment of my son, Royal, whom I love. I love my son. This kid is amazing. He's my favorite little dude, right? And I said, phone is turned in at bedtime, and you will only get it back if you're on time for school. What? If you're on time for school? Well, you didn't wake me up. Oh, we wake you up. And your phone's supposed to wake you up, and now we're not going to do that anymore. So we will be your alarm clock, since apparently the digital one we bought on Amazon doesn't work. End of story. He was so angry at me. And he went to bed mad. So what? Right? Yeah, I want him to like me. I want to be the cool dad, but not at the cost of him not fulfilling his promise to make it to school every day on time if I have something to do about it. So setting boundaries, creating authority, giving him an understanding of how to do hard things, and there are consequences too. So the consequence is you won't get your phone if you're not on time. Where leaders and parents lose credibility is not following through on the consequences. So the next morning, you'll be pleased to hear, Royal was up bright and early. He wasn't about to miss being on time for school that day. And he wasn't about to not have his phone for a day. And that night, proud of his day, he tried to argue that now he has conquered his mornings and should have his phone back in his room. I was like, no way, man. That's not happening. You shouldn't have it in your room for any night's sleep. And he was angry again. He went to bed mad. Here we go again. The next morning, he got up a little slower. It was tougher. I had to keep reminding him, you're not going to get your phone if you're not on time. Like, it was an agreement that we had come up with. Repeating the agreement, which is what it was, reminded him of his promise, and he got to school on time. So you want to know something interesting? Last night, I fell asleep before he did, and I woke up thinking, oh man, he has his phone in his bed. But I went into the kitchen, and there it was, plugged in on the counter. He respected the rule, even when I didn't remind him or enforce it. And yeah, he has made it to school on time each day this week. It's been tough for all of us, but we are a team training a young person how to behave respectfully in society. If we as parents don't do it, then his employer or the officers of the law, they'll have to do it in the future, and we don't want that. So popularity versus respect. I mean, the hard truth is that you cannot lead people if your primary goal is for them to like you at all times. It's called the friendship trap. A best friend parenting is often just a mask for our own fear of conflict. I despise the thought of conflict with my children. I don't like conflict with anybody, and yet I'll have it, as their success depends on it, even if it means they're mad at me as a dad. Mean dad. Mean dad. Here's the long-term promise. Your job isn't to make their childhood easy. It's to make their adulthood possible. And if we don't help them through this, if we don't give them a chance to understand, not to say who's boss, but rather who's somebody who can live in a way that they want to emulate. How are we as a dad? How are we as a parent? It's not to be perfect. They're going to see me do stupid things too. And yet, I'm really proud of my boy. Royal has worked really hard this week, and he's going to keep working hard every week. Are you trying to be the cool dad to heal your own childhood or to serve your child's future? Does your child know exactly where the line is, or are you constantly moving it to keep the peace? The final question is, how will you keep the promise to your family? Yeah, I love it. It's so great. You know, each time I hear that song, it makes me laugh because my man Keith, who's the producer of this show, he put that together with his own voice. So he recorded into his iPhone, and then he sent it to this app called Suno. And I want to talk to you about how you are using AI in your business for business purposes, whether it's writing, creating, editing, creating amazing new things, and how I've been trying to do it as well. So Keith introduced me to that. He's also the one with his team who made that AI generated illustration of the different F's that we use on the show that kind of looks like me, but kind of doesn't, but kind of does. I kind of wish I looked like him, but I don't know. That kind of AI thing. And you've done the AI generate your image deal. But I want to show you that Keith pushed me to try to create my own song. And so I downloaded this app, Suno, Suno. If you want to check it out, it's maybe one of the funnest things I've ever seen, because as a creator, this is like amazing that this is even possible. So I'm going to play for you. This might sound horrible, but I'm going to play for you how this sounded when I created it. And then let's just listen. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. 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 Okay, so that's what I recorded into the app Suno, and I just said I want it to sound electronic, techno, and energetic and uplifting, right? This is what it created. You ready? And this is the song that you heard at the beginning of the show. This is from my voice. Check it out. That's the song. That's amazing. That is a digital AI, who knows what, how it's created. I have no idea. All I know is it's incredible, and you should check it out for yourself. Whether you write songs or not, now you can, I guess. That's what's fun about it, right? So how are you allowing AI to help you in your business to have more creativity, even assistance in the creation of something that you can't get past the roadblock or the writer's block? I know for me, when I'm like, what should I say? How could I do this? I like to type in some kind of chat GPT or some other place saying, hey, what would be the best way that I could get through some of these points? And then it gives me all this content. Now, the problem is a lot of people just read the content and then it's an AI generated type presentation. So you want to add in your own bits and create it from that. But let me tell you, AI is so fun and it's crazy cool. And that's why we've integrated it into the characters you're seeing introduce me, the variations of me illustrated and animated here. And equally, I thought to myself, I'm working with this great company, Cardio Miracle. I love everybody I work with. We're all independent contractors around the world, really. And we have this thing called Slack. You've heard of Slack. Slack is where you keep track of projects with many people involved rather than in emails and texts. Well, over the last few months, we've had some changes in the business, and people have come and people have gone, and yet we're trying to get back into the usage of Slack, because you start to slack off literally and forget that you have it. And so with tongue in cheek, using my signature moves, which I always want to bring joy and fun and happiness to everything I do, this is how I sent something out just the other day to my entire team, to the Cardio Miracle group. Here's a little video, quick 30 seconds. I hope you enjoy. Hello, my Cardio Miracle family. I hope you're doing well. This is a quick message from me. Not sure how else to say it, so I wrote a song.
Hello, citizens of the greatest company in the history of the world. Did you know we have Slack, 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 Swirl? Did you know we have Slack, 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 Slack? We need you to use Slack, Slack, use your Slack. Please, please use your Slack, Slack, use your Slack for everything, every day.
Thanks, as you were. All right. So I wrote that song by singing it just like that. I sang Slack, Slack, all of that stuff. We need you to use your Slack. And it was no music underneath it. It took that. It changed, obviously, my voice. I would love to know if I could use my voice in the future. That's what I'd prefer. And then I went back after it made that awesome, fun earworm of a song that you're not going to forget. And the next thing I knew, I was trying to lip sync it on the video to send to them. Took me about a half an hour to get there. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you'll integrate AI into your life, into the fun, into the creation. And the question is, how are you utilizing AI in your business?
With the Olympics about to start, I keep hearing people talk about the big moments, gold medals, podiums, and highlights everyone remembers.
Those moments don't happen by accident.
They're earned years earlier in quiet places, through routines nobody celebrates. That's what sticks with me. For most guys, there's no stadium, but there's still pressure to show up every day.
And that pressure exposes something fast. If your body can't support your intentions, presence is the first promise that breaks.
Jason, if life is our real arena and nobody's keeping score, what kind of heart does it take to stay ready when it actually matters?
Let's talk about the heart, my friends, because tomorrow the world turns its eyes to Italy. Oh, yeah. We're going to see athletes do things that don't seem humanly possible, yes. We'll see the gold medals, the podiums, and the highlight reels, but I know the truth. The Olympics aren't actually won on the snow or the ice. They're won 3 years ago at 4 a.m. in a dark gym when no one was watching. That's the power of the promise. I grew up in Park City, Utah, which is the home of the U.S. ski team. I had friends that would wake up at 4 a.m. and they were dead tired during the school day. And they would show up and do all of their schoolwork, and then they would go back after doing the 4 a.m. workout. They'd do another one after school. It's incredible to know that people can go to such lengths. I've never been so impressed with somebody as watching my friend who medaled as a snowboarder and other friends who've gotten medals as skiers. It's been incredible. I can't wait for the Olympics. And it is the power of the promise. And for those of us in the middle miles of life, between 30 and 55, we are in our own Olympics right now. Our arena isn't a stadium. It's a kitchen table. It's a boardroom. It's a bedroom where you're trying to be present for your kids. Our performance isn't for a judge, especially the French judge. You don't want that one. It's for the people who share our last name. But here's the catch. You can't keep your promise to others if you've broken your promise to your own body. If your heart isn't in it, literally, you can't show up. We talk about character over performance, but true character requires their energy to act. And that's why I'm obsessed with what's happening inside our veins, not just what's showing up on our scale. And when we support our heart health, and when we open the flow with the things like nitric oxide, which you may not be familiar with, we aren't just biohacking. We're equipping ourselves to be the leaders our families deserve. I'll tell you more about the nitric oxide in a moment, but we're making sure that when our kids say, "Dad, play with me," or our partner says, "I need you," we don't have to say, "I'm too tired." Now, tomorrow, the athletes play for gold. Today, we play for the people who think we're already the heroes. So let's make sure we have the heart to prove them right. And I want you to know about nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the way that it's kind of like the layman's term for vasodilation and breaking down the inability for a cell to be really malleable. In other words, it sort of makes the cell be a little bit more able to do things and flow through your body quicker. It goes to the microcapillaries in your brain. It goes to the extensions of your fingers, your arms, and ferment other places that we need blood flow to those places in order to function properly. And so I hope that you understand how important it is to be able to have that. And the best way to get it is from Cardio Miracle. Now, Cardio Miracle is a family business. It saved my dad's life. It saved many people's lives. We are so grateful for the opportunity to share it on this show. They have supported me in so many ways, and I drink it every single day. You just drink it in the morning, drink it before a workout, you'll feel different in your workout. Drink it after the workout, you will have greater recovery. It's a pretty astounding product. No caffeine. It creates nitric oxide through L-arginine and L-citrulline. It's amazing. The reason I'm telling you about that is because I want you to consider for yourself how and when you're going to give yourself the opportunity of becoming as healthy as possible. Unfortunately, so often we're not thinking about it because we're thinking, I got to get to do this and do that. Well, my friends, if you want to grab some, go get it on this code. Take a screenshot of this or check it out. We've got a special offer for you at all times, and I hope that you'll give it a shot. I want to tell you one story as we close this show today. I have to talk about my brother, Josh. Josh was almost 500 pounds a couple of years ago. 500 pounds, crazy. He entered a contest because he's now lost 200 pounds. Muscle and Fitness is my favorite magazine, and it's Josh's as well. This is my little brother. Look at how much weight he's lost. It's incredible. But I want you to understand that he's doing a contest, and he needs your vote. It doesn't matter if you're watching this on the live stream on February 5th, or if you're going to watch it another time. Please go and check out how you can vote for him. You just go to mrhealthandfit.com and go find Josh Hewlett. That's his name. You know what? He's already in first place. We need more votes, though, to keep him there. He's got another full day ahead of him, and I hope that we can get him to be able to have a feature article there. He'll also win some money, and I'd be so proud of him because he's also sponsored by Cardio Miracle. He knows it changes his life. He knows that it's made a difference for him, and he wants others to hear the story too. If you want to lose some weight, if you want to change your life, hey, give your heart the love it needs with Cardio Miracle. Thank you guys for watching today. I hope you had a great time, and I'll see you next time. Welcome to the show. We're listening to 2016 music. We're talking faith, family, fatherhood, freedom, fitness, funny, and farce. Breaking news, developing story. You won't believe this. Holy smokes, what are we talking about? Leadership starts at the kitchen table. I'm on a call right now. Do not talk to me. Daddy hates me. Daddy doesn't like us. Your kids don't need a ghost. They need a father. Starving for presence. Pick your times, have a conversation, trust me. I believe that be fully present with these most important people. And that's a promise kept to yourself and your family. I'm so glad when daddy comes home, glad as I can be. The only way I can make the world a better place is to volunteer. This show is brought to you by Cardio Miracle. Hey.